Hello again, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this Thursday edition of Alaska Weather on the 23rd day of December 2021. I'm David Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting today's show. Up first on the hazardous weather graphic, not so much illuminated as what we had yesterday. The only area up there on the eastern Arctic coast, the red area there, AKwx, Barter Island, that's a blizzard warning that's currently out and will remain out tonight until noon on Friday. And that's for winds gusting 55 miles an hour, creating significant blowing and drifting snow, resulting in whiteout conditions or visibility is less than a quarter mile at times. And that's expected to go on through noontime Friday, tomorrow. And then to the west, Prudhoe Bay, winter weather advisory there for Nuiqsut, Prudhoe Bay, Alpine, Dead Horse, Kapparik, those areas. And that's for 40-mile-an-hour winds, creating blowing snow that reduces visibility to about half mile or less at times. So not as nearly severe as off to the east there in the blizzard warning area toward Barter Island, AKwx, but still pretty windy and visibility is reduced with blowing and drifting snow. Otherwise, those are the only advisories out, watches or warnings out for the remainder of the state. Everything really calmed down from the last couple of days. Out west, same thing, other than there will be marine warnings, form of gale warnings out over the Aleutians, the incoming storm, a series of systems moving northward. Otherwise, satellite imagery here showing a band of clouds kind of rotating north, or kind of rotating to the northeast up over the northern areas, but extending from the northwest coast there across Kotzebue into the central interior, on down across Copper River Basin, and in toward Burwash, Whitehorse there in Canada, just north of the Panhandle. And system developed again, upper level low and a weak low at the surface, brought some areas of light snow to the Panhandle today, from Juneau down to Sitka, possibly Port Alexander, Cake, Klawock, Heidelberg seeing some snow as well today with that system. All pretty light though, generally less than an inch. Some areas might have picked up a little more. A lot of areas didn't pick up anything at all, especially up over the northern Panhandle today with increasing outflow winds there. Still some clouds, but notably winds on the increase there. Expected to go gale force Lynn Canal here for, I believe, tomorrow. Otherwise, up on the Arctic coast, again, west winds gust 55 miles an hour throughout the day today at Barter Island, about 40 miles an hour at Alpine, or 43 miles an hour at Alpine Airstrip. And then down to the south, winds also at Kodiak, 41 miles an hour at the state airport there, but that was a mild wind out of the northwest. Temperature up to 45 degrees with clear skies, sunshine there. Wasn't for the wind, be a really nice December day, late December day there at Kodiak. Seward, about the same thing, north winds, 20 miles an hour or so, 25 miles an hour, temperature 41 degrees and clear skies. And a lot of clear skies breaking out over Cook Inlet, Kenai Peninsula, and southern Susitna Valley area, but temperatures not in the 40s, a little cooler in the 20s mostly. And moisture spreading over the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula. Not much in the way of precipitation with that band. Most of the cloud producing, or the precipitation producing clouds are still to the south of the Aleutians. AKwx picked up about a quarter of an inch in the last 12 hours. Then the mass staying west of the northern Bering Sea, so not much going on for St. Lawrence Island. There as that lifts up into the western Canada area, and the low center going to continue northward across the Russian Far East and lose itself in the darkness of the Arctic, and then move over the top of the ridge, reappear there over northwest Canada several days from now. Actually hitting the Arctic coast pretty good, it looks like, later Sunday and on into Monday for the North Slope and Arctic coast, but that's few days out, but that's definitely a good possibility. We've got one low there just south of the Russian coast front, bringing some rain into the western Aleutians, western Bering Sea, south to north flow bringing more moisture. You can see the warm front spreading the rain in over the central Aleutians into the Fox Islands and almost up to the Pribilofs. Otherwise, leftover snow with the low pressure area that dissipated in the frontal boundary, that dissipated over the southern central interior overnight. Still snow going on. Well, starting to taper off now over Fairbanks. They had anywhere from 2 to 4 inches fell from Haisley up to or over to Delta Junction, Nenana, on up into Fairbanks. UAF at Fairbanks had about 2.5 inches of snow or more, and some of that extended a little bit to the north and off to the east there. Again, mentioning Delta Junction in the eastern Copper River Basin, and then downsloping kept it dry along the North Gulf Coast and breezy. You can see quite a gradient across the Barren Islands. That'll support good gale force winds now through tonight and into tomorrow. And the winds on the increase over the northern panhandle, nothing too strong, not really blasting in like it could this time of the year. That not really that strong of an Arctic high up over the Northwest Territories, only 1,017 millibars. And but enough of a gradient there to keep start to push the drier air in, with the snow showers shifting off to the southeast, as well as the low will be dropping southeastward. So moving on to the forecast for tonight, you can see that low does drop down to just off the Vancouver Island area. And following that behind will be increasing winds, colder temperatures, excuse me, moving into the southeast coast. Probably gale force winds, Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay, northern inner channels, with good gusts even into Stevens Passage. Otherwise, the blizzard warning continues tonight for the eastern Arctic coast, and snow into the north slope, but a lot less wind there. Winds will be confined out to the eastern coast, 40 to 55 miles an hour with whiteout conditions. But high pressure conditions will improve markedly as you head west or southwest, as the winds become light and variable under that 1,037 millibar high. Still some lingering light snow mid and lower Yukon River, or lower Yukon River Valley in the Delta into the northern Kuskokwim Valley. Some lingering snow showers along or just north of the Alaska Range, extending on in toward Dawson, northwest Canada there. Warm front pushes northward, warm air, rain, Pribilofs, periods of rain, heavy at times, gale force southerly winds, Adak and Atka. Eastern Aleutians, look for some light rain to start moving in there, with quite mild temperatures, staying well above freezing, definitely with under mild southerly flow there. Kodiak Island, breezy, but winds gradually diminishing, stays breezy along the North Gulf Coast and dry, and not too terribly cold, especially in the windy areas. Will be actually quite mild by comparison to the windy areas of the Panhandle. So moving on, that low there south of the western Aleutians for Friday pulls northward and doesn't really deepen too much, but good southwest flow. So you can see another warm front pushes up north of the Pribilofs, and we've got rain inland into the southern Kuskokwim Valley, Togiak Bay, Bethel. Areas of mixed precipitation, definitely a possibility there, like freezing rain, sleet, mixed rain and snow in the pink shaded area, with some light snow finding its way to the western Alaska Range, maybe some snow flurries around the Fairbanks area and the Nenana back, probably won't reach Tanana. And increasing snow, blowing snow possible St. Lawrence Island, Seward Peninsula. It depends on the temperature there for St. Lawrence Island, just whether you have blowing snow or not. If you're above 30, 32, it'll be a little too warm for any significant blowing snow, but you'll definitely see an increase in the wind and precipitation. And the eastern Arctic coast considerably better, but this by afternoon, just some flurries left, winds really coming down, light and variable on the west side, north slope, high pressure keeps it cool and dry over the northeast interior, and generally variably cloudy and dry, Copper River Basin and the North Gulf Coast. And for Saturday, Christmas Day, cold and dry over the Panhandle, maybe some clouds sneaking into the northwest areas, Gustavus, Elfin Cove, maybe possibly have a snow shower for Yakutat, but dry and cold, well below freezing for your highs there for all of the Panhandle. Warm front brings more moisture. You've got a widespread area of light precipitation, heaviest there along the southwest coast to St. Lawrence Island, where it'll probably be in the form of rain or rain and snow mixed. And then rain heavy at times from the Pribilofs with gale force winds, and rain heavy at times into the western central Aleutians with that 975 millibar low. It's expected to track northeastward, and that could hit the western Arctic coast, western north slope, and again with a major winter storm sometime on Sunday or into Monday. Low temperatures for tonight, as cold as 35 degrees below zero there up over the northeast interior, 15 to 20 below for the Arctic coast, and 15 to 20 below for the central interior, Tanana Valley. 15 below for the Copper River Basin, 0 to 15 south central Alaska, but milder toward Homer, and definitely milder yet, closer to freezing in the windy areas. Upper 20s Bristol Bay, 30 to 35 for the Alaska Peninsula, lows near 40 for the central Aleutians. Single numbers over the Panhandle, mid-20s about as warm as it'll be, 24 at Sitka, otherwise in the teens. Highs for tomorrow, 10 to 15 northern southeast coast, lower 20s down toward Dixon Entrance, mid-20s Port Alexander to Sitka, and 15 to 25 below northeast interior, about 5 to 10 below, say, or 0 to 10 below for the central interior. In the teens, south central Alaska to lower 30s for Homer, Seldovia, lower 40s Kodiak Island, near 50 for the highs for Unalaska, mid to upper 40s for the central Aleutians, lower 40s for the Pribilofs, lower 20s St. Lawrence Island. Low barely getting under 40 for the Pribilofs Saturday morning, with lower 40s there over the central and eastern Aleutians, falling back to the mid-30s towards Shemya. Same thing for Kodiak, mid-30s for your lows. 25 below call it for the Copper River Basin, 10 to 15, or 5 to 15 south central Alaska. Look at us, below zeros showing up now over the northern Panhandle with single numbers, and 15 for your low for Sitka, followed by highs 5 to 15, otherwise lower 20s out along the coast or the southeast coast.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
First line weather graphic, marginal VFR north slope on out to the Arctic coast, a little bit of marginal VFR eastern interior, otherwise VFR Copper River Basin from the Alaska Range eastward, on down across the Gulf, Panhandle, Kodiak Island, northwest valleys, and then IFR, huge area covering the Bering Sea, Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, pushing into the southwest interior, crossing the Kuskokwim Mountains into the valley, and northward to St. Lawrence Island. For the afternoon, that pushes up to the Bering Straits, southern Seward Peninsula across Norton Bay, covering Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta into the lower Yukon River Valley, and hanging up along the Kuskokwim Mountains, with some of that sneaking into the valley there. Bristol Bay, IFR, Bering Sea, Aleutians, Pribilofs, all IFR. VFR, mostly central eastern interior, some lingering areas of marginal VFR there north of the Alaska Range, Tanana Valley, 40-mile country, and just north of Eagle, as well as the North Slope, Panhandle, North Gulf Coast, VFR. And for Saturday morning, huge massive IFR are persisting or pushing inland now, right up to the Alaska Range, trying to push into western Cook Inlet, but the mountains holding it off, at least in the morning. And then we'll see that pushes northward across Seward Peninsula to just about to Kotzebue, definitely to Buckland and Deering. And then just to the north, VFR Kivalina on up to the Arctic coast and eastward, eastern interior, VFR down to the North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, marginal VFR Kenai Peninsula, and Cook Inlet and the Manauskas-Susitna Valley, IFR Southwest Kodiak Island, and VFR for the Panhandle. In the afternoon, IFR hangs up Southwest Kodiak Island, otherwise marginal VFR now advances across the Gulf, all of southern Alaska to Yakutat. Stays VFR though for the Panhandle, Copper River Basin marginal, Upper Yukon Valley VFR to the central and eastern North Slope and Arctic coast. IFR pushing into McKinley Park, and maybe Nenana, back toward Tanana, across the river there, up to the northwest interior, and all of the Bering Sea, Aleutians, and Alaska Peninsula, as you can see, IFR. And for passes tomorrow, Anutuvik, possible marginal VFR at other times, and occasional marginal VFR, especially on the north entrance there for Adigan, otherwise VFR to the south. Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR day coming up. As for rainy and windy, VFR. Mentasta and Isabel, both VFR for those passes. Looking good for Tanita as well. VFR flying conditions through either approach and portage, VFR, each entrance. And Chilcoot and White, VFR. Freezing levels, push of warm air with all the IFR and lower conditions there and moisture. 10,000 feet north of the Fox Islands, 8,000 feet north of the Pribilofs, 6,000 feet near St. Matthew Island, and 2,000 feet across St. Lawrence Island. And for the icing, we've got some considerable moderate rime icing over the northern Bering Sea to St. Lawrence Island, otherwise isolated moderate there along the front, and then kind of a widespread area in northern Bering Sea but narrows out along the frontal boundary down across the east central Aleutians. And taking a look at the jet stream, upper high just south of the Alaska Peninsula, so we got west-southwest flow coming up on the west side of that, up to 100, 135 knots, turning to more of a westerly direction across the Bering Strait, St. Lawrence Island area, 105 knots, and then coming down, strong north-northwest jet there coming across Yakutat from the Yukon River there, Eagle, 145 to 155 knots there just off the southeast coast, and about 120 knots north-northwest coming across Prince William Sound. Looking at the 9,000-foot wind flow chart, southwest winds 60 knots there across the central Bering Sea, and the Pribilos turn westerly at 55 knots into the Yukon Delta. West-northwest 40 knots, northwest coast, and then those increase and turn more north-northwesterly, 65 knots. 50 knots up over the central interior to 65 knots there right over Valdez on down, and again those strongest winds just to the west of the Panhandle, although 50-knot northerlies. They're supporting some stronger outflow winds at the surface from the northern Panhandle. And 3,000 feet, much lighter winds at this level, 40 knots off the southeast coast, 40 to 45 or 40 to 50 knots southeast Bering Sea into the Yukon Kuskokwim Delta, light over the interior, and turbulence, moderate chop, western interior for the Alaska Peninsula out to Amchitka Island and the north coast.
Happy Christmas, Star Family. Trace here. The story of Christmas is intimately connected to bright stars, and today, the brightest star in the night sky is Sirius the Dog Star, part of Canis Major. Hit the darkness after 10 to find Sirius shining in the southeast. If you're having trouble pinpointing it, use the 3 belt stars of Orion and follow a line down and to the left. Sirius is part of Canis Major, the Great Dog. His remaining stars are Mullifen and Merzam on either side of Sirius, and Wezin, Adhara, and Aludra down and to the left. Canis Minor contains Procyon, which is bright too. It's above Major Doggo to Orion's left. If it existed, historians think the Star of Bethlehem was most likely a triple conjunction of planets, though comets and supernovae have been suggested as well. Whatever really happened, keep an eye out for Santa this week and keep looking up.
If you've been watching this series, you know that NASA has scientists posted all over the world studying Earth's frozen regions. We've got people exploring ice sheets, glaciers, permafrost, sea ice, snow, and even ice on other planets. But even our top scientists need a little backup sometimes.
Do you like going outside to do science?
Yeah,
Why?
because it's fun.
Yeah. What's your favorite part?
Frost tube.
Frost tube! Cool!
In this bonus episode of Cryosphere, we're following the micro-explorers that are helping NASA collect data from their own backyard.
Do you think it's gonna be frozen?
Yeah.
Yes? Why?
Because it's very frozen!
Here's the idea. Students construct a frost tube that gets put into a hole in undisturbed and uncompacted soil. During the cold months, students will measure the depth at which water in the frost tube freezes, indicating that the surrounding soil has frozen. This is one of many citizen science projects facilitated by GLOBE, the Global Learning and Observations to Benefit the Environment program.
What's going on? What did you find out?
It's the ice!
How far down is the ice? So is there still liquid in there?
It's a worldwide program that, so far, has collected over 130 million measurements from more than 10 million students in 113 countries.
Are you scientists?
Yeah.
These measurements are added to a massive worldwide database that's free and open to the public.
GLOBE connects my students with the rest of the world through science and looking at climate change and how it's affecting the future.
GLOBE teachers like Terry are transforming the way kids see science and how they'll respond to changes in their future environment.
Let me see your happy face. Ah!
Actually, we were so impressed with the kids of John Fredson's school that we decided to show their work to the scientists in the original NASA Explorers Cryosphere series. And they had a couple things to say.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Oh my god.
Do you like going outside to do science? Why? How far down is the ice?
That's awesome.
Wow, this is really, really cool.
Hey students from Miss Terry's class, I just got to see your video. I was so impressed that you guys were braving the conditions of the snow and all the crazy stuff to go and learn more about the permafrost and where the water layer is right outside your school. That looked incredible.
It is so exciting to see you guys and girls doing such great work as we watch our planet change over time.
Hey there, young scientists. Looks like you guys are doing some amazing things. Remember to keep warm and take notes, and also stay curious.
Oh my god, this is awesome. I love seeing the enthusiasm of these kids. They're outside, it's obviously really cold, but everyone is so excited to be out there making measurements for NASA. That's wicked cool.
Because you're so right, science is so fun, and I really hope that you'll continue believing in that. The best piece of advice I ever got was, whatever you do, do your best.
And from all of us here at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, remember, dare mighty things.
So keep up the great work. Make sure that you're having fun no matter what. That's the key thing about pursuing a career in science. Make sure it's something that you love. And I'm really impressed. So hopefully we'll take the lessons you're learning and apply them when we explore our solar system.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Looking at the coastal water forecast, we've got small craft advisories there for the south coast of the Panhandle for north winds, 25 knots, seas at 14 feet. And for the north coast, northeast winds 25 knots, 10 to 13 foot seas up that way. Gale warnings, Lynn Canal, northern inner channels. For north winds at 35 knots, 7 foot seas. Stevens Passage, north winds 30 knots with storm force gust of 50 knots and seas at about 6 feet, while Clarence Strait looking at a north wind at 20 knots with 4 foot seas. And for Christmas Day, we've got much lighter winds out along the north coast, north and central coast, northeast 10 to 15 knots, seas 6 to 8 feet, south coast, north at 20 knots with 11 foot seas. And north 20 knots for Stevens Passage, or for Clarence Strait, northeast 25 knots, small craft advisories for Stevens Passage, and winds coming down under gale force for Lynn Canal, northerlies at 30 knots. Prince William Sound, northwest winds 20 knots, seas 4 feet tomorrow. Eastern North Gulf Coast, storm force gust of 50 knots out of the northwest, otherwise sustained winds 25 knots. Western North Gulf Coast, northwest only at 20. And then gale warnings for the Barren Islands, Kamishak Bay, west-northwest winds there at 35 knots. Cook Inlet, north to northeast, 10 to 15 knots. Light variable winds for northern Cook Inlet on Saturday. South of the Forelands, northeast at 15. Back to light and variable for Kamishak Bay for a change. Northwest 15 for the Barren Islands. Western North Gulf Coast, Prince William Sound, light variable winds at 10 knots. And northeast at 15 there for Middleton Island. Kodiak Island, small craft advisories tomorrow, west-northwest, 25 to 30 knots. Sitkinak to Castle Cape, small craft advisories, west winds 25 knots. Alaska Peninsula, south to southwest, 20 to 25 knots. Light east winds for Bristol Bay. Those will become southwest to 20 knots for Bristol Bay on Saturday. Small craft advisories, Alaska Peninsula, south to southwest winds, 25 to 30 knots. And then Castle Cape to Sitkinak up the east side of Kodiak Island. Small craft advisories for west winds at 25 knots and 8 foot seas. Fox Islands, south winds 25 to 35 knots tomorrow. Seas running 8 to 15 feet. Gale warnings for the Adak-Atka area. Southeast 35 knots, 10 to 20 foot seas. And south 13, south 30 for Amchitka Island. And from Kiska to Shimia, winds will be north at 20 knots. And for the Fox Islands on Saturday, South winds 30 to 40 knots, good for gale warnings there, and 13 to 21 foot seas. Definitely gale warnings for Adak, Atka, and Amchitka Island, south 45 knots, Kiska to Shemya, southwest at 30. Southwest coast, south to southeast winds 25 knots, sea 6 to 7 feet, southeast 25 for St. Matthew Island and St. Paul, St. George Islands, Otter Island, south at 30 knots, 11 foot seas, east winds 25 knots, brisk wind advisories for 25 knot easterly winds, Norton Sound and St. Lawrence Island. Those will diminish, turn south at 20 knots on Saturday. That'll pull warmer air up into there again. And gale warnings along the Yukon Delta coast, south winds 35 knots, 30 knots for the Kuskokwim Delta coast, and 40 knot winds out of the south for the Pribilofs and St. Matthew Island, seas 20 to 22 feet. And for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, hang on to the gale warnings again tomorrow, at least early on. West winds 35 knots. Brisk wind advisories for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast for central east side there. 25 knot west winds, 20 knots from the west for the central coast, even lighter on the west side, 10 to 15 knots from Cape Thompson up to Point Ley. And then from Cape Thompson to Wales, northeast winds at 20 knots. And for Christmas Day, from Wales to Cape Thompson, brisk wind advisories, east winds 25 knots, Cape Thompson to Cape Beaufort, northeast at 20, and the western Arctic coast, northeast 15 or so, and then southwest at 15 knots for the central coast, east side, eastern Beaufort Sea coast, south to southwest, 10 to 15 knots. For tonight, snow blowing snow, blizzard warning continues eastern Arctic coast, yet another trough swinging down out of the Arctic there, continuing the whiteout conditions with winds gusting to 45 miles an hour. And some light snow along the southwest interior, rain or snow along the coast. Nunivak Island changing to rain, rain for the Pribilofs, rain and wind for the central Aleutians, and some showers shift into the western Alaska Peninsula. Cold, dry, and windy over the Panhandle tonight, and south central Alaska. Dry and breezy in channeled areas there, as well as Kodiak Island.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.